Well, hi everyone and welcome. I thought I would share something with you I normally don't share in videos. And that is, Patrick, what do you do to get your goat milk into soap? You've seen me freeze it, you've seen me thaw it, but maybe you've never seen the process that I take to actually get it ready for soaping. This is semi-fresh from the goat. What that means is it's already been through a screening. I actually put it through a double screen that catches any bits of hay or grass that may have been on the teat. Even though I clean it before I milk them, a piece of grass can occasionally make it into your milk. It happens on every farm. You take as many precautions as you can, but since I don't sell my milk for consumption, that's not a concern. I give some away, and I don't take donations for that, by the way, so it's not some secret way I have of making money. Anyway, for instance, you'll see here, there's a little speck floating in the top. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's right there. Can you see that little speck? I don't want to touch it, but it's there. And it's little things like that that I have to filter out after I milk them. So I'm going to move this aside here. And what I generally do is I have a large container here, a large jar with a funnel, and then just a flour sack over the top of that. This is just so that I can filter the milk to get out any other impurities that may be in it. You may not be interested in this at all. This may be the most boring thing ever. I don't know why. People have asked me in the past about this. So again, no, I'm not wearing gloves, but again, this is just for soap making. I don't use this for anything else. For the lotion making, I take a different process. Actually, I do filter it, but it's also homogenized, meaning that I take it up to a very high temperature, but that's another story. But I thought maybe because someone had asked me about this, you might want to see what I actually do. As you can see, this is a very thick, rich, fatty milk. It's not like what you get at the supermarket, or if you use powdered buttermilk, it's going to be quite different than what you get there. Let's see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it dripping down in the bottom from this angle. There, I'll move it back a little. Now you can see it down in the bottom there. And this is the step that I've taken hundreds of times at least, and you'll already see it. You see the little specks of, this is just what I have found does a good job of getting those little particles that you might miss through normal filtration. And this process sometimes I will do 2 or 3 times depending on what I'm using the goat milk for. Now this is from 2 older girls, and they have not had a baby for a few months, and yet I'm still milking them because they like it. They actually enjoy it. And occasionally one of the kids will run up and take some milk from them. So, but because the colostrum isn't there, it's not as brightly yellow as it is with a new mother's milk. So this is the process. It's not very complicated, as you can see. There's a nice stream of milk flowing down in the jar. I don't think you can actually see it. Maybe if I tilt it a little there. You should be able to hear it. And this is what I will do for this full amount here, which is about, I don't know, 3 or 4 quarts. I'm not real sure yet. Yeah, about that, I think. And after this, after fully filtering this, because I'm going to be putting this in the next soap that I'm about to make here, this will actually be frozen into ice cubes. But first I have to complete this, which is a little more laborious. It's not hard to do. It just, laborious is the wrong term. time consuming is what I meant to say. Laborious means that it's hard to do. This isn't hard to do at all, but it's time consuming. But it's well worth it, because if I prepare a soap for you, of course I want it to be free from any kind of litter, anything like that, unless I intentionally want litter in there. Like when I'm making the local inland oats soap or something like that, where it's actually made with actual oats here from the land. That's a different story. But you sure don't want it, I don't want it coming through in the milk, because we don't know what else might be there. So this is it. I continue doing this, and this does take, not a long time, about 10 minutes per bucket. And of course, because these are smaller pygmy goats, smaller buckets, it doesn't take as long as it would with a large milk goat. Now, this can be rushed along a bit by just brushing across the cloth like this, but we're not in a hurry here. But this kind of just breaks up any of the little fats that have gathered on the bottom that may be blocking the fibers of the flour cloth. And sometimes, especially when dealing with a goat that has just kidded, meaning they just gave birth, sometimes you can get some big globules of fat here, and those I do definitely press those through, because I know what goodness those add. It really increases the amount of lactic acid in the soap, which is beneficial to helping you to shed old skin and to for your skin to let all that new, fresh, blood-rich skin come to the surface. All right, so I'm going to continue this process. This will take me about another 10 or so minutes, but I don't want you to have to sit here and watch me do this. This must be the most boring thing you've probably done all week, is watch a guy sit and pour milk through a flour sack. So I will speed this up a bit, and then we'll move on to the next process, freezing it and then putting our goat milk to use in our soap. This is going to be a very special soap. Now, what's special about it? Well, it's for someone that can't afford to buy soap. They don't know that I'm doing this. They don't watch my videos. They don't know anything about what I do. They have an idea that I make things, but they don't know anything about my business model. And we were having just a general conversation on the phone, and I found out that her husband is out of work. I won't go into all the details, and I won't give any identifying information, because I do know some people in this area do watch my channel that live here locally, and I don't want to embarrass this person by maybe accidentally saying who they are or giving information that might lead to that. But what I found out from this person through our chat was that they're going through a really, really, really tough time. And I told you all, or I did the one soap where I did a soap for a charity event where the soaps were auctioned off. And they weren't all auctioned off, actually. I still have some of those left. Those were the little Texas soaps that were scented with anise. Several of them did sell at auction, and I'm very happy to say that they were auctioned off at $22 a bar. That was the how much money was made on 6 of them. So that was very exciting. A lot of good money for charity. That's a beautiful thing. But that kind of led me to this. And this isn't all going to one person. I mean, suggest that, of course, I'm making enough soap. This is a lot of milk. I'll be making enough soap, as I always do, to put some in my store. But a full loaf of this is going to go to this family. Now, why is that important? Well, I know, first of all, that they have a special member of their family that she said, here's what led to this. This was just a general conversation. She knows I have goats and stuff. And she said that at another time when finances were better, that her husband loved when she would go into Dallas and buy goat milk soap from one of the specialty shops there, and that it was especially great for this younger, special member of the family. And I just thought, I'm going to make them some goat milk soap. This isn't a charity thing. It's just a friend doing something for another friend. And I love this kind of stuff. If I could afford it, I would probably do what some others have done. Give 100% of what I make to charity. I would love to do that. And at some point, if I'm ever able to retire, that is probably what I'll do. But I can't do it at this time. The funds just aren't there. And I do have to get money back to buy more stuff, to make more soap and that kind of thing. The milk, I get, no problem. But the lye, the oils, the butters, those things cost money. So I have to sell some soap to keep it going. All right, so that's it. That's the last of it for today of those 2 buckets. And I am thrilled with how much I got today. Now this is from 4 goats. And you can see there's some little pieces, darker spots here. That's the kind of stuff we're filtering out. There are actually several of them in there that you may not be able to see. They're rather small. I see them. I know they're there. So this is why I do this. And then I remove the cloth. Let me get a hold of the band here. There we go. Get the rubber band off. Lift it away. And there you have our lovely goat milk. And from this point, it goes in the fridge. And then I'll pour it into ice trays, get it frozen, and then we're going to get to making soap. Hope you enjoyed this little peek inside. Let's move on and make some wonderful soap. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So now I have my frozen goat milk here, and I have my lye. And I'm just going to start a little at a time, mixing it. Now, this is fall, cooler temperatures. The room is nice and cool. And so you won't see me doing this in an ice bath. An ice bath simply means this bowl sitting inside a larger bowl that has ice in it to help keep this nice and cold. It's not as necessary this time of the year. And in case you're wondering, why do you freeze? Why do you freeze your milk? And why do you give it an ice bath? The whole purpose is to keep from scorching it, meaning to burn the milk. Now, while burning the milk can change the appearance and the smell of the product, in your end product, you generally won't notice that it is scorched because it does fade back to its natural color over time. As the lye cures inside the soap and dissipates, saponifying the oils. However, you do destroy some of the beneficial qualities of the milk, which we're trying to keep intact by keeping it cold while the lye does its work. Because some of the fats in the soap, especially when you're using fresh goat milk, some of those fats will actually start turning to soap rather quickly. So you want to take your time, yes, but you don't want to take too much time. You certainly don't want to make this in advance and let it sit, because you can end up with soap already made in your bowl before you've added it to your other oils, and that can affect your overall recipe. All right, so what have I got here? I've got a lot. Okay, so this is my rosemary and eucalyptus. This is about 60% eucalyptus and about 40% rosemary. It's a combination that if you haven't tried before, you really should. It wakes you up and soothes you all at the same time. It's one of my favorite combinations, and I think you'll really love it. And I am quite aware that this is not looking like it's going to be much of anything. There's not a lot of variation here. I was hoping for some of that, and I'm just not seeing it, and that's Patrick for you. I don't oftentimes plan my colors well enough, and I do need to work on that. I'm well aware. And for that, I apologize. No. Now, I could fib to you and tell you this is exactly what I was going for, but it's not at all. I'm going to keep a little bit back in case I decide I want to do a little something on the top. Okay, let's scrape it down a bit here. Get this last bit in there. I like to fill them up to the tippy top. I can't help it. So, why am I back at my wire cutter? Well, because the blade cutter, please understand that its main design, from what I've read on the website here, I'm just setting this one up to cut the same tighten it. There we go. The website of the fellow who makes this states it's made for melt and bore, which is a terrific thing because there have not been any. Really, wire cutters don't work well. The wires generally break and it doesn't work too well. So wire cutters are generally the best way to go for cold processed soap. I'm going to try pulling this toward me just to see what kind of a cut I get. That was a suggestion of one of my online friends here, Tree. And you know what? That did cut a nice even bar there. I am cutting these a little larger just because I chose to. I like the way the colors came out. What do you think? Some of them are nicer than others. They're soft. I've cut these a little soft, which is also probably, again, why the blade cutter didn't do as good a job as I'd hoped. Because what it did is it kind of dragged them and they'd stick to the blade. And I think you need your soap to be really either a melt and pour soap, a nice good hard soap, or you need to have let your cold or hot process soap really set up and get hard before you use the blade on it. Otherwise, you end up with that kind of smearing issue that I had. These are coming out really nice. I'm very pleased with the colors. It's not the colors that I had really intended, but I think they came out kind of cool. The Gromwell, which is that blue that you see right here on top, only came through in a few spots on a couple of them. It was the weakest of the... Well, no, it's not the weakest. The weakest is the green, followed by the Gromwell. And luckily the annatto seed held color really nice. I'm very pleased. They look like, they look like flames. They truly do. This looks like flames. I thought about different names for it. And I think I'm going to go with, I thought about Demure was the first color I thought of. I thought of, several different names. I always like to come up with a different name for different soaps, and I don't necessarily name it after what it is. For instance, a lot of goat milk soaps, I don't call them the goat soap. I will name them something like, I've got some called Love and Peace and, various different things. And this one I'm still deciding on. You'll know by the time you see this video, I hope. But I am much more pleased with the outcome of this than I thought I would be. So everyone, I really appreciate you coming along with me on this soaping journey. I hope you've learned something or saw something or heard something that entertained you for a little while. I love making these videos and making soaps, and having you come along with me makes it all worthwhile. I want to say thank you. I'm going to make a Thanksgiving wish for each of you. Whether or not you live somewhere where you celebrate Christmas or not, this is still a wish that I have for you. And that is that you are loved and that you love. I realize it's very difficult now in many places to be with friends and family due to the pandemic. But know that there are people here, and I know this hardly suffices for human contact. I do know that. But there are people here, even here on this channel, that care about you and what happens to you, and hope that you're happy and that you find time for a laugh, maybe some music, and some enjoyment, whether you're alone, which I will be, or whether you're with your group and your personal family or friends. I hope that you have a joyous time and that life is good to you. And I have big hopes for the year ahead. I hope things are much brighter than they are now. I suspect that they will be, but we'll all wait and see, won't we? But thank you so much for all you've given me. It means the world to me. It truly does. And I just want to say thank you. So have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you back soon. Goodbye.